From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, I'm Charlie Klepps. Miller will be in with the full forecast later, but first, let's get right into our top story. Rain hit much of the region yesterday, which many had been desperately waiting on in northern Wyoming. After weeks of the elk fire raging on, with crews struggling to get a hold of the flames, Mother Nature made a huge impact in that progress yesterday. Sheridan County is reevaluating several evacuations in different places, and crews were not out fighting the flames last night for the first time since it all began. Snow also fell in parts of Wyoming and Montana, playing a huge role in the continued containment of this fire. Residents in Wyoming were grateful for the precipitation after weeks of living in the shadows of the flames.
The rain and the forecasted snow has just been a blessing to have.
I don't want to give anybody any false sense of security. A lot of fire crews still in the area going to be monitoring the fire lines.
Starting today, they began allowing cabin owners along Red Grade Road to access their spaces again. It's certainly not the end of the fight, but it's welcome relief. Now let's see if this cold will stick around. Here's Miller with a first look at the forecast from around the state.
Happy Friday, everybody, and TGIF. Boom, cruise on into the weekend, which is looking pretty good for most of us. More on that in just a second. But first, what's going on across the U.S. today? Your headlines for the 48s. Much of the eastern U.S., sunny and pleasant conditions through the weekend. Central and southern Rockies, heavy snow expected through tomorrow. And the western high plains, heavy rain expected to move in tomorrow. Hey, speaking of tomorrow, big game as the Grizz are off, but the Cats are still playing. They're going to be traveling to Portland. Take on the Portland State Vikings. If you're going to head to the game, should be really nice weather. And if you want to catch it on TV, it's on the MTN channel. You want to check your local listings for that. Pre-game at 1:30, kickoff at 2. Go Cats! Bring home a victory. Local forecast coming up.
An officer-involved shooting led to a fatality in Bozeman Wednesday night, Thursday morning. The incident began around 8 p.m. when Bozeman police officers responded to a call regarding a female who had threatened a family member with a handgun. Upon arrival, the officers found that the individual had left the residence with the firearm, continuing to make threats. Just before 2 a.m., after hours of communicating with the female, she indicated she was giving up and was setting down the handgun. She then grabbed the gun again, and that's when officers fired several rounds, with the female succumbing to her injuries. None of the officers were injured, and the investigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, near Helena, investigators are looking into a trooper-involved crash on Interstate 15. Lewis and Clark County Undersheriff Brent Colbert told MTN that an alleged impaired driver crashed into a Montana Highway Patrol vehicle parked in the emergency lane at mile marker 195. Colbert said the driver hit a truck first, lost control, and crashed into the patrol car. There were no injuries reported from the incident. A man accused of committing a double homicide in Superior just over a year ago appeared in court this morning. Craig Walter Benson has pleaded not guilty to killing his wife Jenny Benson and a bartender Logan Gardner at the Four Aces bar in 2023. The jury for that case was selected today, with the trial beginning next week in Ravalli County. Missoula Judge Leslie Halligan is presiding over the case. And the Flathead Warming Center is taking its case to federal court next week in hopes of getting a temporary emergency order to remain open. The Warming Center filed a lawsuit against the city of Kalispell last week for revoking its conditional use permit. Center leaders are now asking a judge for an emergency motion that would allow the center to operate with overnight guests as the lawsuit moves through the court system. The Warming Center will go before a federal judge on October 25th at 9 a.m. in Missoula. In the meantime, they're providing laundry, showers, food, and a place to warm up daily from 1 to 7 p.m. And Colstrip is still recovering from a devastating apartment fire that happened nearly a week ago. The fire destroyed 4 apartments, leaving multiple families without a home. According to the Colstrip Volunteer Fire Department, the fire started around 6 p.m. last Saturday. No residents of the apartment were home at the time of the fire, and at this time the cause is still unknown. Yesterday, the community of Helena and fellow horse lovers celebrated Megan Round's life. The 27-year-old was recovered from the Missouri River on October 8th after missing for 5 days. Rounds' body was escorted to the VA cemetery at Fort Harrison, where she was laid to rest. Horses were adorned in Megan's favorite colors. Her horse, Betty, topped with her rodeo gear, trotted behind the casket. Over 50 horses and riders were there to pay their respects.
I'm here today to support the family that lost a little girl. I have a child who rides, and my daughter rides in a lot of the events that Megan rides in. And I just feel that it's important for us to help our friends and our neighbors nearby, whether we know them well or not.
As of now, there are no updates on Round's autopsy results from the crime lab in Missoula. On Wednesday, the state discovered a campaign finance violation in one of Butte Silverbo's most contested races. The sheriff race between Mike Gage and Ed Lester had some added controversy to it. Lester is accusing Gage of improper radio and social media advertisements, filing a complaint to the state. With more on this ongoing story, here's John Amy.
The Commissioner for Political Practices found that a candidate for the Butte Silverbo Sheriff's Office and a local security firm failed to report campaign financing in the form of political ads in violation of state law. Candidate Mike Gage and Emmanuel Security did not report nearly $9,000 in local radio ads supporting Gage's run for office, according to the ruling. Gage told MTN News it was a simple oversight.
You know, we're new at this. This is the first time we've ever run an election, and you know, we thought it had to be something that somebody was doing in conjunction with our campaign, and this wasn't. So we didn't think we needed to report it.
Gage's opponent, incumbent Sheriff Ed Lester, filed the complaint last month.
I waited for the fifth report to come in and to see if they were actually going to comply with the finance laws, and they didn't, so that's when I filed the complaint.
Commissioner Chris Gallus referred this matter to the Butte Silverbo County Attorney's Office to take whatever action necessary.
We'll get it corrected, and we'll go forward, and you know, we're just ready for the election.
And you know, this isn't something that a sheriff's candidate, quite frankly, should be doing. They should be going out of their way to comply with the law.
This sheriff's campaign has been a contentious one with plenty of mudslinging on social media.
And I don't need his supporters coming on my page and saying things about the people that support me, and likewise, I don't need my supporters going on his page and saying things about his supporters. That part of it's gotten out of control, and I wasn't expecting that, and I do hope that comes to an end pretty quick.
This isn't something that I enjoy either. This campaign should be about issues and your accomplishments and your training and what you've achieved throughout your career, what you bring to the table, not about all this other nonsense.
Emmanuel Security had no comment on this matter. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Each year, fish in the Madison River make their way into irrigation ditches, only to find themselves stuck once the gates close for the season. It's an ongoing struggle that's hard to avoid, though one Ennis man is doing what he can, actually rescuing the fish himself. David McCory has spent hours over the last 10 years rescuing and relocating at least 1,000 fish each year. McCory says it isn't the easiest job, but that it is worth doing as it protects the future of fish populations in the Madison River.
When you look at fly fishing in this valley, it is the backbone to the economy, believe it or not. I just wish we could get more people involved in this, and it's a problem going on every year, and that's the future fish of the Madison River.
McCory's efforts have helped prevent fish from entering the ditches at all, though he hopes to see more funded efforts to save those fish left behind.